In today's video, I'm going to go over the 2022 Developer Stack Overflow Survey and cover some of the latest trends when it comes to development and programming and things like that. So first off, let's start with the most popular technologies. And as you can see here, the most popular technology for professional developers was JavaScript. Coming in at second place was HTML and CSS. Then we have SQL, Python, and TypeScript to round out the top 5. Now moving down here, let's check out the most popular databases. Well, the most popular database based on professional developers here is Postgres SQL, and then MySQL and SQLite are coming in to round out the top 3. And then moving down here to cloud platforms, you have AWS coming in at the top slot, followed by Microsoft Azure, and then Google Cloud. And for the most popular web frameworks and technologies, this one actually surprised me quite a bit. Number 1 is actually Node.js. That's not terribly surprising. Number 2 is React.js. Also not terribly surprising, but number 3, jQuery, still hanging in there to round out the top 3 most popular web frameworks and technologies. Coming as a surprise to probably nobody is that the most common integrated development environment, or IDE, is VS Code. And then for the most loved compared to dreaded language, you actually have Rust coming in at the top with 86% of the responses here saying they love it, compared to only 13% dreading it. And then you have Elixir and Clojure coming in to round out the top 3, and then TypeScript comes in at number 4. Now, what I also think is kind of interesting is to look at the most dreaded, and we have MATLAB, I've never even heard of that, coming in as the most dreaded language here, and then COBOL and VBA. I've never even heard of these. I think that's probably a good thing that I have it. The most loved database here is going to be Postgres, and then following that is Redis, and then MongoDB to round out the top 3. And then similar to the most popular cloud platforms here, you have AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud coming in at the top 3 as well. And then this was one of the biggest shockers to me, and maybe I'm just like out of it, but the most loved web framework was actually Phoenix, which is a web framework I've actually never heard of. And then following that, you have Svelte, and then Deno, and then all the way down the list here, you see kind of React.js, and then Vue, and then we'll see where Angular is at as well, kind of down here as well. It's where it's almost like 50-50 on whether people like Angular. And then one last thing I wanted to touch on here, as it kind of feels like all the rage right now is blockchain and cryptocurrencies and different things like that. And within this survey, out of the 73,000 responses, only about 11% of the responses were very favorable towards blockchain. 20% were favorable. Most guys didn't really care. And then you also had like 15% unfavorable and 15% very unfavorable. So very 50-50 kind of split here between whether developers were kind of bullish or bearish on blockchains and things like that overall. So I like looking at this developer survey every year just to kind of get an idea of the general trends of different technologies and web frameworks. And maybe this video gives you some ideas on different technologies that you might look into a little bit more. I know for me, it's going to be looking into the Phoenix a little bit more, which is a web framework and technology. It was kind of off my radar. So hopefully this does the same for you, and I'll see you in that next one.